Children are the ultimate 10x. Last year, as I was celebrating 20 years of motherhood when my oldest turned 20, I've been really reflecting on how my children have completely 10x'd my life and my life experience. So today I wanted to share 10 things. I could probably write a whole book on this, but I want to share 10 things, 10 ways of how my children have completely 10x, I should say trillion x, like my life experience. So, number one is my children gave my life purpose. I had gone through a lot of childhood trauma, big T, little T trauma, been through a lot. And by the time I had my oldest son at 23, about to turn 24, I was lost. I didn't even know if life was worth living. Like I was exhausted from carrying all of this trauma and just having such a hard life. And when he was born, it really changed my life because I now had a purpose outside of myself. I now had a reason for living that was so much bigger than I could have even imagined. And then obviously having my other two children years later just solidified that experience of seeing life as so vast and so big and so huge, other than just seeing it as simply my own experience. Okay. Number two, oh my God, this is a huge one. It expanded my ability to love. You have not even experienced love until you hold your children in your arms and you go through the entire emotional roller coaster of raising them. All of it, the duality of it all, the sleepless nights, the warm hugs, the holding hands, like all of it. Like I wouldn't trade any of it. It has just burst my heart open in the most beautiful way. Like I did not even think I was capable of loving even 1% of what happened to me after I had my children. And I feel just so blessed to have gotten this experience because it will change you. And I think one of the issues is that when we haven't experienced anything, we haven't been changed by that experience. And so we're trying to gauge what it will feel like before we've actually gained the capacity to go through it, right? So you think, oh my God, like, my life is this, and this right now. Like, how can I fit a child in? Not realizing that when you have that child will actually literally expand your capacity to hold more. So that problem doesn't need to be solved. That problem will be outgrown when you actually do the thing. And this actually goes for everything. But I just want to preface by saying that because you cannot have imagined this. If someone had told me, listen, okay, just have your kids, your heart will expand to hold more love, hold more pain, hold more duality. I wouldn't have even known how to register that because I hadn't experienced it. But now that I've experienced it, I'm like, yep, it will. Okay. Number three, how my kids 10x my life is they showed me how strong I really am. You do not know strength until you're put in situations where you have to pull on that strength, and then you realize how strong you really are. And I mean, I could say this about pregnancy. I didn't have the easiest pregnancies. So, I mean, even going through the difficulties I went through with my pregnancies, and then childbirth came with all kinds of duality in it, right? And then the actual aspect of raising your children and the strength that is required in the moments, big and small. Oh, I did not know I had that capacity until I was put in those situations where I needed to pull on it. So that's another way. Number four way that my children have 10x my life is my intuition. This is why I called Mamta energy, which is like your mothering aspects, your ability to bring your mother energy. One of the core divine feminine essences. It's such a core principle. It's because you access so much more of your intuition as a mother. Like there's just no comparison. And of course you can have your intuition without being a mother, but when you're integrated in this Mamta aspect, OMG, I had to really learn to respect that side of me that knew things without knowing why or how I knew things. And even when I've had other people telling me things that may sound contradictory to what I'm feeling intuitively to do with my children, understanding that I know best as a mom, and I know my child the most deeply. I mean, they were literally like inside of me for 9 months, right? So that I can trust myself. I can trust those aspects of myself, even if other people have different opinions. So that was a huge 10x as well. Number five way that my children have 10x my life is they made me a better woman. They make me a better human being. They make me better in all the ways. My children are the reason that I started my inner work. They are the reason, because I wanted to be a better mother for them. I wanted to give them a different life experience. I wanted to have them to have things better than me, bigger than me. I wanted them to have a more expansive love experience, and just a more grounded, present, healed, whole mother. And the only way I could give them that was to give myself the gift of inner work. Because the more I'm authentically me, the more there's the shedding of the unhealed parts of me, the ego parts of me, all of the stuff that is the human experience. And the more I can stand in my truth, the better mother they get to have, and the better life experience they get to have. So that's another way. Number six is wealth. So there is a saying in my culture that every new soul, every child that comes into the world, they bring their own kind of like bank balance, or they bring their own wealth, they bring their own prosperity. And I could not agree with this more. Like each child that I've had, and I have three children, as most of you guys know, but maybe some are new to my channel. OMG, the capacity to desire more wealth, have more wealth, earn more wealth, hold more wealth. I really believe that now, as someone that not only heard that as a concept growing up, but has experienced that it is my children, and they're joining me in this life experience that has 10x my wealth. Number seven is legacy. Children are your legacy. They are the way that you continue living on. They are the big picture of your life. Your children, I mean, when I just tap into the energy of even my grandchildren, which I don't have any yet, or great grandchildren, the fact that I have children, it expands my life into multiple lifetimes. Like what I do and say and don't do, and how I live every aspect of my life now matters so much more beyond just how it impacts me or this moment. It impacts my children, it impacts their children and their children and their children. Like I always say, 7 generations back and 7 generations forward. Children have just given me legacy, and it means everything to me. Number 8 is my children 10x my life by making my marriage more robust. And I mean, my husband and I are committed to each other and growth and inner work and all the stuff, but when we added children to the mix, like we want to be better human beings for them. We want to show them the healthiest version of marriage that we possibly can. Notice I didn't say perfect, I said the healthiest version of marriage that we possibly can. That means showing them, you know, all of the things. And I have such a great example of this. So when Irfan and I got married, we had agreed that we would never like argue in front of the kids, that we wanted to give them a safe home. We didn't want them to we didn't want to give our children the experience of feeling unsafe in their own home, or feeling uncertain like about their parents arguing or anything. And now other people might have different opinions about this. This was just something that we agreed to. And then this one day, this one day, my children were, all three of them were seated on like the breakfast area eating, and my husband and I were standing in the kitchen and we were discussing something, and the discussion got a little bit heated, and we were raising our voices, and like we were just in it, and I was aware that we're doing something we're not supposed to be doing, but also triggered enough where I couldn't like really stop myself. And so that happened, and late at night, when it was just the two of us, my husband was like, I was like turned the other way, he's like tapping me on the shoulder, I'm turning around, he's like, I'm sorry, that didn't come out right. And I'm like, I'm so sorry, I should have raised my voice. And we had a whole little moment, and as I was drifting off to bed, and even the following morning, I'm like, oh my God, my children got to see us arguing, but they didn't get to see us make up. that is not a full representation of how you resolve conflicts in a marriage. So I spoke to my husband and I was like, hey, right, like this is what's on my mind. And so we during breakfast recreated the making up part. So when I was in the kitchen, we were making breakfast as a family. My kids were there. My husband came and he tapped me on the shoulder and I turned around and he was like, I'm so sorry about yesterday. And I said, I'm so sorry I raised my voice. And then we went through the process of making up in front of them. It was only fair because if they're going to see you arguing, then they get to see you make up. And I'm just sharing this with you as one little example of how you change in your marriage when you have kids, because now it's just not about your experience in the marriage and his experience in the marriage, it's their experience, because your children will never have another modeling of a parental unit, right? Like they can read relationship books, they can have their teachers teach them what a healthy relationship looks like, right? But they're never going to have this lived experience of what you can give them. And so again, going back to, it's not about perfection, it's about real, it's authentic, but it's really being focused on what kind of an experience do I want to give my kids, right? So from my perspective, what I've given my kids is how to be holding the feminine pole in a polarized like masculine feminine dynamic, while also being this woman that is a high achiever, driven, has passions outside of the marriage, has an identity outside of just being a mom and wife, and how I make those things work. That gives my children so much more full range and permission and ability to do that in their own life, and being able to hold these different flavors of life and not just like have just this one very narrow perfected um, postured experience. And so that is also another 10x. Number 9 is I have built in lifelong friends, because when you have your kids, they're little and you're their parent, and depending on how you're parenting them, you have a certain type of relationship. But for those of you guys that are parents, you know how that relationship evolves every year as they get older and more mature and more conscious. And my children are 20, 14, and 11, and just how our relationship has evolved over the years and how it's deepened, and how they're able to experience me as a multi-dimensional person and not just this like authority figure of like mother in their life, and how rich that relationship is. Just knowing like that I have lifelong friends, that I have people that are here walking this journey of life with me in all seasons and all phases, it just makes me so happy, and it just has really 10x my life experience. Number 10 is the spiritual. How my children have 10x my spiritual experience. Like if you want to experience God, experiencing it through motherhood and seeing these three little souls that are, yes, in reality, like my children, but actually they're these like unique souls, and who knows, maybe their souls may even be more evolved than my soul, and maybe they're older souls than even my soul. And having the spiritual experience called this journey of life with them and co-creating with them and collaborating with them, that has brought me so much closer to God. It has brought me so much closer to my own spiritual beliefs and my relationship of how I interact with them, and everything, and myself and God has just 10x my life experience. I almost uploaded this and then realized there's so many more. Let me know in the comments if you enjoyed this video and you want me to do a part 2, because kids have been such a 10x in my life that I could probably make this into a whole series. So the one I wanted to definitely add to this video is my kids have 10x my life by making me way more efficient. Before I had my kids, I was like in perfectionism mode, but it was like perfectionism coming from the point of like, I'm not worthy and what I'm doing is not enough, because everything I do is like wrong. It goes from like my childhood, like all that stuff. And so it was like being a perfectionist at the expense of being like excellent. And so when I had my son, I was like, okay, I cannot do that anymore. Like, this is just not gonna work. Like, just from a practical, logistical standpoint, like, this is not gonna work. And so I had to find new ways of doing things, and I became so efficient. And then, especially when I had my second son and then my daughter, like, I get so much more done now in so much less time, just because I know what to say no to, what doesn't fit into my personal values, my bigger picture for my life and my family, and also like being super efficient and striving for mastery and excellence over perfectionism for perfectionism's sake. Like, I'm not trying to be perfect, but I'm trying to be a master of my domain. And every day I'm trying to be more and more and more excellent. And those things register as very different belief systems for me. Okay, so number 12, that was 11. Number 12 is, you know how I said that you have lifelong friends? Well, you also have like lifelong mentors and advisors, because let me tell you, there is going to be no greater teacher, guide, and mentor in your life than your children. They will teach you things since the moment that they show up in your life. They will expand you. They will just 10x you in all the ways. And it's so interesting seeing that relationship evolve. Like, as my children are older, all three of my kids contribute so much creativity wise and advice wise and mentorship wise into my business, into my life. And I love seeing that part of them like really come on, where they're in, like, they're basically putting like their creative director hat and their advisor hat, and it feels so good to see their full range, right? Because kids get to be kids and they're children, but they're also souls, and they are also oftentimes much more in tune with their intuition. And so, just like not only teaching them by telling them, but teaching them by involving them, and have like making sure that they're learning to trust their own inner guidance, inner knowing. And oh my God, it has been one of the biggest joys of my life to see how they come up with ideas and listen to their intuition and learn to set boundaries and all of those things that have just enriched my life and my business. And I know I share a lot in my private group coaching and in my courses, like all the little ways my kids have contributed to the courses and my entire body of work, even showing up to my in-person intensives. And it's just been such a blessing. And I know that I get asked a lot, or I get comments of women saying, but I don't know if I want to have kids. I don't know if it's going to be really hard, or I don't know, right? And the thing is, everything worth doing, everything worth having, there is going to be an element of challenge in it, because you are here living out this experience that's meant to challenge you and increase your capacity. It's the same question of saying, I want to have a really toned body, but I don't want to go to the gym because it's going to be hard. Yes, there is going to be resistance and even learning to show up. Yes, it's going to be challenging for you to be lifting weights and doing exercises and poses and postures that you've maybe never done, let alone with added weights to it. Yes, there is going to be this element of breaking down of the old and then rebuilding the capacity with the old. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's going to be easy, but you shouldn't be wanting it to be easy. You should be desiring for you to be stronger. You should be desiring for you to have more capacity to be able to hold those things. So I'm not going to say that motherhood is going to be a walk in the park, but I am going to tell you that you are going to be so much stronger, and your capacity, your ability to love, your ability to experience life, the duality, the highs and the lows, and your strength, seeing it really come to play in motherhood, that is going to 10x your life in ways that your brain can't imagine. And that's what puts the confusion in there. That's what says, can I handle it? Of course you can. You can't handle it now because you're not needing to handle it now. But when you have the thing in front of you that you desire, you will now have the abilities, you will pull on the strength, you will pull on the grit, you will pull on the resilience, the staying power that you need, that you can't access right now. Because again, why would you access it when you don't really need it at this moment? So I can't really answer the question for you that should you have kids or not. Only you know if that's a true desire for you. But if you are someone that's sitting around thinking, can you handle it? You cannot handle it now, but when you have kids, you will develop the abilities and pull on the potential and the capabilities inside of you to be able to do it. That I can say, because when we're put in front of something, when we have no choice but to go through it, then we pull on those abilities and stretch them and learn how to do the thing that is required to us. So that's why I'm such a big believer. I talked about this in my Lady Balls book as well, that don't try to solve problems that haven't happened yet, because your brain is gonna create all of these unnecessary questions and problems. That's what the brain does, right? And you're not gonna be able to solve them. But when you're there, when you're faced with a real actual thing, then you know and have the abilities and the solutions to solve the thing. So right now it's gonna seem hard, but when you do it, you're gonna just do it. Those parts of you that are really encoded through millions of years of evolution on how to mother and how to be a good mother, and you're gonna learn, you're gonna make mistakes, you're gonna correct those mistakes, you're gonna do the thing, and during doing the thing you will learn all the things and you'll get better and better and better and better. So it's really just choosing and deciding which what you want to do, and then locking in, and then just going in as if that is all the only option, and eliminating all others. And so I hope you enjoyed this. I have a group coaching container 3 month that I'm currently enrolling for. It's called Wifed 2025, and it's going to be for women that want to bring out the best, most like highly aligned version of their womanhood and their wifehood and their motherhood. Whether you're a wife or mom now or not, or whether you're confused about it, and even if you've been married for a really long time, maybe you already have kids, like this is just going really deep to those core personal values and how we were designed, and the confusion that can be present in the world, and how to really get clear and pull on those God-given skill sets and divine rights so that you can show up as your most confident, most certain self. So this group coaching container starts on February 14, 2025, and I'm currently enrolling for it. And so you can go ahead and apply with the link below. It is application only. If your application is approved, you will get a payment link from my team. There's a payment plan and a pay in full option, and I would love to serve you in this container. This year we have special guests coming to speak. We've got a former divorce attorney coming in talking to us. We've got an expert coming in talking to us on how to prepare our children. If you are a single mom and you're worried about bringing a stranger or a man into your life, we're gonna help you kind of put those fears to ease by giving you things that you can actually train your children. We've got guest speakers coming in from previous group coaching containers and my work of students that have gotten success and gotten married and 10x their marriages, and they're going to be coming in offering their perspective as well. So I've got an amazing lineup. We get started soon, so if this is calling out to you, the link is in the description box. Let me know your key takeaways from this video. And I'm actually posting now every Wednesday and every Sunday. That's my 2025 YouTube posting schedule. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.